Now, welcome to another edition of Battle of the Heroes and Villains, where this time we'll be taking a look at the results of the poll for Leia and comparing them to all the other characters we've done thus far, before I then read and of course respond to some of your comments. But before we get to any and all of that, you can already head down and nominate and or vote for which character we do next. Just respond to my pinned comment below with the name of the character you'd like to see done, or vote with a thumbs up if they're already listed. Whichever character or comment gets the most votes in the next 24 hours or so will be the winner and the one we do next. Okay, and now on to the results for Leia, where we'll see that 70% of voters thought she was an A tier character, 24% then said B, 4% gave her a C, which then left 1% to give her a D, and a final 1% to give her an F. And so when we do all the math here and consider A a score of 5 and F a score of 1, Leia ends up with an average score of 4.61, which puts her into 6th place overall, and actually makes her the highest rated out of the what is commonly referred to as the original Big Three, or the highest rated out of Han, Luke, and Leia, which probably does have something to do with the sequel trilogy and how it affected the ratings, but it's still worth noting. Anyway, before getting to your comments, let me once again just take a moment to say thank you to everyone who votes, comments, and watches the videos. It's all greatly appreciated. And now let's begin, as usual, with the top rated comment, which this time came to us from Diamond360, who said, "She's a brave, strong leader who leads a rebellion against an entire empire and still stands strong even after they blow up her planet and rescues Han and Luke from their own rescue. Yet on the other side, she still is a little dogmatic at first and not willing to work with others, yet comes around, and because she ends up trusting Luke and Han, she then gets a new family with her brother and husband, the perfect strong female hero." Alright, and before responding to this one, let me just read off a few more very similar themed comments, starting with this one from A to Z, who said, "She is the poster child for strong female character, A." Then this one from Darth Cadus, who endorses his mother by saying this, "A. She is the definition of a badass but flawed character, alongside counterparts Ripley and Sarah Connor." We also then had this one from McCain Mull, who said, "She is the epitome of a strong female character, and one of the first great ones too. No matter how popular Han and Luke got, she was right there to match them, a solid A+. Then there's this one from Nathan Dean, who simply said, "Not just a role model for women, but for everyone." And this one from Presley Krause, who said, "She's a strong character that happens to be a woman, not a quote-unquote strong female character, nuff said." And finally, in this little group of comments, this one from Revan03, who said, "Leia represents the ideal strong female character, a general who helped lead the Rebel Alliance into victory against the Galactic Empire, despite the odds, but also showcases flaws as evident in her headstrong nature and the conflicting love she feels for Han. Leia isn't just a great female character, she is one of the best characters in the entire franchise. May you rest in peace, Carrie Fisher." And the funny thing is, I never really thought of Leia as a female character until lately, and I obviously don't mean that to be as insulting as it might sound. It's just that as a kid watching the original trilogy countless times, and even now as an adult, I just saw her as another character, one who was just as strong and capable, not to mention as important to the story as any of the others. I never thought there was anything unique or different about her, anything that needed to be pointed out and applauded. Again, from my perspective, she was just part of the story, and a good one at that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that women or young girls, either back then or now, can't or shouldn't look to Leia as an icon. I'm not saying that the character isn't significant in terms of what she represents. It's just that, and keep in mind, I'm in my early 40s, so a lot of the stuff I watched when I was a kid or grew up with always included strong female characters, despite the belief that today it's a whole new concept. Pretty much all the cartoons I watched in the 80s, like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Voltron, Thundercats, and so on, they all had kick-ass female characters. Same goes for the comic books I read back then, and I was a huge fan of X-Men back in the late 80s and early 90s, when the likes of Storm and Jean Grey were just as cool, prominent, and as powerful as any of their male counterparts. And when you get into movies, two of the greatest movie heroes of my generation, or any generation really, were Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor. In other words, I grew up watching and reading forms of entertainment where women were always just as capable as men, and I never thought that was strange or odd or bad. It was something I happily accepted and still do today, as long as the characters are good, which is part of the problem. Oftentimes it feels like it's more important to make a point about the character than it is to just tell a good story with them. Either way, it's so strange to me, and usually it comes from people younger than me who clearly don't know what I grew up with or what my generation grew up with, telling me that the reason I have problems with new Star Wars is because I can't stand women now being in my entertainment, and especially can't handle them being front and center. When the real problem is it's not their presence or prominence that bugs me, it's the fact that not only are they oftentimes bad characters, but that the people including them are patting themselves on the back and acting like they're doing some great deed, that they're starting some sort of cultural revolution, when what they're doing is instead having the opposite effect, and that it's actually been done before. But now we're getting to the point where every time a female character is included in something, some have to question if there's a secret motive or agenda behind it. Anyway, I don't want to go on and on about this, so let's move on to this comment from Jay Vardy, who said, "Let's be honest here. She was the least interesting character of Han, Luke, and herself. While she was a charismatic voice of authority in A New Hope, she was kind of hard to tolerate in Empire Strikes Back. Her attitude through that entire movie was off-putting, and it's no wonder Han was scoundrel-like around her. In Return of the Jedi, her only real good scene is the scene with Luke, where she describes living with and knowing Padme, what happened with Revenge of the Sith. Of the three main characters, she was also butchered the most in the sequel trilogy. Her one-liners for humor is not fitting with the character we all knew. Her Mary Poppins moment was a total eye roll, and her being retconned into a Jedi last minute was just weird. She was never my favorite character, but her place in Star Wars was historic, and the movies wouldn't have worked without her. The reason I am focusing on the detractors in this comment is because most people commenting, and the video recap will almost certainly be positive comments only, B. Okay, so I have to strongly disagree with you about how Leia was handled in The Empire Strikes Back. I think, like pretty much all the characters, she's fantastic in that film. I don't see her as having an attitude as much as I see her being in love with Han and just not wanting to admit it to either him or herself. I mean, in a way, he's basically her only real weakness. That one thing she doesn't feel like she has a strong handle on or control over. And it's because of that, this vulnerability, that Leia is such a great, well-rounded character. And after they kiss about halfway through the movie, her attitude basically goes away. She's basically now admitted to herself that, yes, she loves him. And when she finally tells him that, and he says back those famous lines, "I know," it's perfect for so many reasons. For one, that's what Han would say, and props to Harrison Ford for changing that line from "I love you too." But it also tells us that, yeah, Han knew the whole time that she truly loved him, which is why he pressed her and why she gave him so much attitude, because she didn't want to be pressed. She needed to come to that conclusion on her own. As for Leia in the sequel trilogy, there's not much of a disagreement from me, but let's get to a couple more comments about that first, starting with this one from Jennifer Hansen, who said, "She's great in the original series, but when the sequels came out and made her a Mary Sue goddess lady, my opinion dropped a lot of her, which is too bad, so a C." Then we had this one from Dean Gavitt, who said, "To be honest, I believe that Leia should have been the main focus of the sequel trilogy. Considering that the prequels focused on Anakin and the originals on Luke, it would have made sense considering that Leia is the last remaining Skywalker of the three. It would have been awesome to see Luke then train Leia, see her become a Jedi, and see what obstacles she would face and what kind of adventures she'd go on. Granted, because of the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher, it would have meant that my hypothetical trilogy wouldn't have been able to be finished, but in an alternate reality where she lived, I think that all of my aforementioned ideas would have been really cool to see, not to mention that this trilogy would have had a true strong female character that everyone loved." Okay, and also here we have this comment from Amy Malroy, who said, "My favorite part of The Rise of Skywalker was how her last action was to help turn Ben back to the light. I also thought it was an amazing detail that her body disappears into the Force only after Ben sacrificed himself. It was like she was waiting for him." Okay, so probably to no one's surprise, there were a lot of comments, and not a lot of positive ones, that went over how Leia was used in the sequel trilogy, especially in The Last Jedi, where we got the whole Leia Poppins scene, which was really and truly cringeworthy in my opinion. Not only was the idea bad and flawed, but it just looks goofy. Anyway, I think what may have held them back from originally planning on using Leia more, and forgive me, I don't want this to sound harsh or cruel, and no disrespect is intended towards the late Carrie Fisher, but I think it's kind of clear of the original actors, she hadn't been acting much or at all lately, and maybe she just didn't have it anymore. And I think that may have impacted their decision about just how much to feature her or have the story revolve around her, though they did originally say episode 9 was going to be her movie, where 7 was Han's and 8 was supposedly Luke's. I mean, maybe the hope there was that she would kind of get back into the flow or rhythm of it after 2 movies and be ready for a big part to play in the 3rd of the trilogy. I don't know. Either way, I don't think she was bad in the first 2 movies, but I think maybe some of that old Leia magic was kind of missing. As for what we actually got from Leia in episode 9, as Amy Malroy said in her comment, I like what they did or tried to do with her story. Having her play a big part in her son's redemption was great and would have no doubt been handled better if she was, of course, still alive to film new scenes. And though maybe the whole thing with her in there, recycling unused scenes from the other movies, kind of came off feeling a bit clunky or didn't work quite right, I'll still take that over not having her in there at all. I'll still have the attempted great ending for Leia, the one where she kind of tries to save her son, over nothing at all. Okay, and now for some final comments before wrapping this up, starting with this one from Melieko, who said, "Let me put it this way, I was 4 or 5, basically really small, and saw her fighting for freedom with the people who became her friends and new family. She was my first strong female role model. She was beautiful, strong, loving, compassionate, determined, resolute, and brave. She was a pillar of strength, but she also knew when she needed to lean on something in moments when she became overwhelmed. Han, Luke, and Chewie were there for her in those times. I remember wanting to be Princess Leia when I grew up. Her hair was also spectacular. I tried to grow my hair out to that length many times. She will always be my princess. The one guy who gave her an F is Tarkin." Then we have this one from a lost lady who said, "She was literally my role model as a child, and I look up to her even now. Do I have to say more?" Then this one from Jake Zimmer who said, "Princess Leia A, General Leia F." Also had this one from Sarah Engel who said, "Love her in every way, but once I had this crazy dream that she flew out of a spaceship and had this weird Mary Poppins moment and floated back to the ship. It was so bizarre. Can't explain it. You had to be there." Then this one from Tiz Mickey who said, "She's what a true strong female character should look like. Disney needs to take notes." Then this one from Usurper Decide who said, "Leia's strong convictions in the face of impossible odds is why she's our princess. She will always be our princess." And finally, this comment from Jessica A who said, "I apologize in advance for the long comment, but I've been waiting for this one. The story of Star Wars in universe and in real life just wouldn't be the same without her. In terms of inner strength, I consider her to be among the greatest of all time. She risks everything for the greater good, yet she still feels human. She's not invulnerable or unaffected by everything she goes through. I've heard some people joke about how quickly she moved past Alderaan's destruction, but I've never read that as her not caring. She was devastated, but expected to step up and become a leader of the rebellion at that point. As she put it herself, we have no time for grief. She knows she has a job to do, and she does it, and that's what makes her a hero. In many ways, she was like a true Jedi. The moment that really solidified the respect I had for her was actually when the interrogator droid enters her cell in A New Hope. You can see the fear in her eyes, and you already know how ruthless the Empire is, but she still refused to surrender the information and would have gone to her death to protect it. Take notes, Disney. This is a strong character. A+. Very well said, and let me just quickly say that there were many great comments this week, a lot of which I of course didn't get a chance to get to, but that I couldn't agree more with what the common theme of many of them seem to be, which is that yes, Leia is an iconic female character. She is certainly something special in that regard, but even more so, she is just a great character that anyone and everyone can appreciate, and that she will forever be our princess. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think of Leia, or what I or anyone else had to say about her in this video, or feel free to vote and or nominate for which character we do next. Either way, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.